Welcome everyone, my name is Jessica and this is Simple, Cheap and Easy DIYs. Start off by taking 2 of these plastic pumpkins, and they come in a couple different colors, but I'm going to use the see-through one. And then I'm going to take these 3 ribbon colors in gold, a beige, and a sheer. I'm going to cut them into sections, and I'm going to cut them about 3.5–4 inches in length, and I'm going to cut 3 strips of each color. Once I have all the pieces cut, I'm going to place them down in an X shape, as you can see doing here, and I'm just going to alternate between colors and keep placing those on. Now you can do more strips or less strips as you want, just depending on how full you want this kind of a messy bow to be, but you can just see here how I'm layering these. Once I have all the pieces in place, I'm going to take a piece of jute twine and just place in the center, and I'm going to tie that as tight as I can, and just make sure that those pieces are securely in place. Once I have that tight and all the ribbons adjusted to the same length, I'm going to cut the excess of the twine off and then just kind of fan out the ribbon to make it look a little bit fuller. And I'm actually going to be making 2 of these. And this is what they'll look like once you have them completed. Next, I'm going to take these maple leaves and I'm going to remove the little styrofoam and the leaves off. I'm going to be using 2 sets of leaves and 2 sets of the little styrofoams. I'm going to cut the excess stem off the little styrofoam pieces, since that's the only piece that I'll be using. And once I have those cut, I'm going to apply some hot glue to the piece of the leaf and glue that onto the top of the pumpkin. Once I have that base glued, then I'm going to glue the leaves onto the pumpkin just to make sure that they do stay in place. Now I'm going to apply a dab of glue in the middle of the leaves and place my little messy bow. Once I have that glued down, then I'm going to apply some glue in the middle of the bow and apply the foam beads. And I'm going to repeat that for both of the pumpkin halves. Now I'm going to take these LED lights, and I'm actually going to be using that to light up my pumpkin. And I'm just going to arrange them in the center of one of the pumpkins. Once I have the lights in as I like, I'm not going to glue them down, I'm just going to leave them freely. I'm going to apply hot glue all the way around the rim of one of the pumpkins, and then place the second pumpkin on top. Now, because these pumpkins face the same direction, they're not going to fit 100% perfectly, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and fix that in a moment, but just try to line them up the best you can from the stems, and this is what it'll look like once you have them glued together. But to hide the pieces that don't fit, I'm going to use this sheer ribbon, and I'm just going to apply that all the way around the pumpkin where the 2 pieces meet. And this actually looks really nice. It makes it look a little bit more high-end as well, and just it makes everything flow together. And this is what it will look like once you have all the ribbon in place and the pumpkin completed. Now we're going to work on the base for the pumpkin, and I'm going to be using this Hello Autumn sign, and I'm going to leave the side the same color, but I'm going to paint the top in the apple barrel paint in the color white. Once that paint's dry, then I'm going to take my pumpkin and apply hot glue all over the bottom and center that in the center of the little sign. And the pumpkin isn't going to fit perfectly flat, but that's okay. What I'm going to do to make this sit straight is I'm going to take 2 craft sticks that I've glued together and apply a generous amount of hot glue under the pumpkin, and then place the craft sticks on the sign and the pumpkin and apply more hot glue, and this actually helps level it out and hold it in place. And once you have that all done, then the battery pack actually hides perfectly underneath the sign. Just make sure that you glue the part that does not open for the batteries to the sign, and make sure that you leave enough space to turn it on and off. To finish the lighted pumpkin, I'm going to take some more of the maple leaves and the little styrofoam balls, and I'm just going to glue that all over the base and around the pumpkin to complete the stand. And here's the completed first project. This next project, I'm going to be taking 4 of these glass candle holders, and these also come in a few different colors, but I did pick up the color that actually matches the pumpkin I'm going to be using. And I'm going to turn those over, and I'm going to apply hot glue to the bottom of one of the candle holders, and then apply the second candle holder on top. Now I do recommend an E6000 for a more permanent hold, but I am going to repeat that for the other 2 candles. Once I have those all glued down, this is what they will look like. And to finish that up, just to cover where the 2 pieces meet, I'm going to take more of the gold colored ribbon, and I'm just going to cut a piece off that's large enough to wrap around the candle holders, and I'm also going to repeat that on both of the candles. Now taking 2 bunches of the little foam beads, I'm going to apply 1 bunch to the center of the ribbon on each of the candle holders. And you can leave it like that if you would like and have them completed. But I'm going to take 2 of the leaves and I'm going to place them in the bottom of the bottom candle holder, as you can see here, just to give it a little bit more decoration. And once you have that in place, all you'll need to do is just place 2 candles in. And here's the completed second project. By taking one of these ceramic pumpkins, and I'm going to be removing the leaf, and I'm going to be using this orange one. They actually come in 3 different shapes, so I'm going to use the orange one for the bottom, and I'm going to paint it in the chalk paint in a guava color, and I am going to give it 2 coats, and this is what it will look like once it's fully painted. Once I have that painted, I'm going to take the little metal leaf and I'm just going to place that back onto the pumpkin. Now I'm going to take the second pumpkin, which actually came in this cream white color, and for this one I'm not going to paint it. I'm just going to apply hot glue to the bottom and place that on top of the pumpkin we just painted, a little bit on the side, kind of tilted, as you can see here. Now I did use hot glue, but I do recommend using an E6000 or like a fix-all adhesive for a more permanent hold, but this is the completed first project. For the second project, I'm going to be taking this plastic picture frame and I'm going to paint it in the color guava. I also gave this 2 coats just to make sure it was fully covered. And taking this floral pick, I believe I got this at either Dollar General or at Walmart. And I'm also going to be using this little blue pumpkin. I'm just going to take this frame and place that in the center, as you can see here. And once I have it positioned the way I like it, I'm going to use hot glue just to hold it in place. And once that's in place, I'm also going to put the little blue pumpkin as well to help cover up the stem. And here's the completed second project. For this third project, I'm going to be using this glass vase, and I'm going to take this beige colored ribbon and I'm just going to cut a piece off that is large enough to fit around the bottom of the vase. And I'm just going to use my hot glue to hold that in place, and I'll just wrap that around the bottom. Next, I'm going to be taking this oil burner, and it actually came in this pretty blue color, so I'm just going to paint the bottom of it with the guava, and it actually blends and matches almost perfectly. But I am going to turn that upside down with the bottom facing up, and taking my vase, I'm just going to apply hot glue to the bottom and center that onto the candle warmer. Now again, I do recommend using a stronger glue like an E6000 just to make sure that this does hold in place. Next, I'm just going to start filling the vase in. I'm going to use these styrofoam beads as well as some of the little mini pumpkins, and I'm actually going to be using some blue ones. That way it goes with the theme of the decor, but you can fill this in using any decor you'd like. Once I have all my decor in, and I'm going to keep the decor mainly to the bottom of the vase, because once I have that in, I'm going to be taking this little tea light holder off of this candle jar, and I'm going to be using that for the top of the vase, and I'm going to be painting it in this guava color as well. And this is what it will look like once I have it painted and it's fully dry. And once that's done, I'm going to apply hot glue to the rim of the tea light holder. And this tea light holder actually fits perfectly on top of the vase. I'm just going to apply a little bit of hot glue to make sure that it doesn't slide off. And once I have the hot glue placed around the rim of the tea light holder, I'm just going to place that on the top of the vase. And I did use hot glue, that way it's easy to take on and off in case you want to change out the decor for different seasons. To complete this candle holder, I'm just going to be using an LED tea light candle. I do recommend using the battery operated one just because of the items in the bottom, but this is what it will look like once you have the third project complete. And here's all 3 completed projects. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which one was your favorite. By taking 3 of these ceramic pumpkins, 1 orange, 1 white, and 1 green, and I'm just going to use the hot glue and glue these and stack them together. I'm not going to paint these because I like the original fall colors, and I'm just going to place them and stagger them on top of each other. I do recommend though an E6000 glue for more permanent hold, but this is a really quick and easy DIY to do. Once you have all 3 pumpkins in place, your first DIY is complete. Second DIY, I'm going to use this Hello Fall sign, and I'm going to remove the raffia bow as well as the stand, and I'm going to save those because I'm going to be adding those back on. But once I have those removed, I'm going to take this pumpkin spice everything. I got this at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to take the pumpkin and center it over the pumpkin spice everything. Once I have that centered, then I'll just trace the pumpkin out, and that will be what we're going to replace the Hello Fall with. Now I'm just going to remove the little pumpkin from the front, as well as I'm going to take off the burlap. Now under the burlap there is a lot of glitter, so I'm just going to take some sandpaper and sand off all the glitter. Once all the glitter is removed, I'm just going to take some tacky glue and I'm going to apply that all over the pumpkin. Once I have that applied, then I'm going to take the pumpkin spice everything cut out, and I'm just going to line that up on the pumpkin and smooth it out. Taking the little raffia bow, I'm just going to apply a little bit of hot glue and place that back onto the pumpkin stem. Next, taking the base of the pumpkin, I'm going to paint it in metallic gold to match the gold in the sign. Once that paint's fully dry, then I'm just going to place the pumpkin back into the stand. And here's your completed second project. For the third project, I'm going to be taking this wire basket and I'm going to leave it white. I'm also going to take 4 large craft sticks and I'm going to paint them in the apple barrel paint in the color white. And once that paint is fully dry, I'm going to go over it with the metallic gold. And putting the white paint first actually makes the gold pop a little bit more. Once that paint's fully dry, I'm going to take the craft sticks and measure them and center them onto the ends of the wire basket. And I'm going to make 2 dots in the center of the craft sticks, as you can see me doing here, and that's what we're going to use for the handles. Next, I'm going to take 4 thumbtacks, and I found that it's actually easier to make the holes before you place them onto the basket, but just be careful that you don't poke yourself or split the wood. But if the wood splits, it's not that big of a deal because it's just for decorational purposes. But you're just going to place the thumbtacks where you marked out the holes. Now that you have the 2 thumbtacks in place, you'll just line those up onto the basket and take the second craft stick and place that on, kind of clamping the wire basket in between. Now you can add a little bit of glue as well if you would like, but I found that the thumbtacks actually hold it in place pretty well on their own. Now what I am going to do, because the thumbtacks do press out just a little bit, you can either cut them, or I just applied some hot glue to the tips, that way that they won't be sharp, and then you'll just repeat that on the other side of the basket also. I did want my thumbtacks to blend in a little bit, so I actually took a little bit of the gold paint and just lightly went over them. That way they kind of blend in with the handles. And here's the completed third project. The last project, I'm going to take 2 of these LED candles and 2 of these leaf napkins, and I'm going to cut the blank side off since we're just going to be using the printed side. Once I have that done, then I'm going to carefully separate the napkin into 1 ply. So we'll just be using the side with the leaves, and you'll want to do this to 2 of the napkins. Once you have that removed, the second portion, you're going to take some Mod Podge and just cover the entire LED candle. And once you have the Mod Podge on, then you'll just take the napkin and roll that around the candle, and these napkins actually fit perfect around. Once I have the napkin wrapped around the candle, I'm going to take a little bit of Mod Podge where the 2 pieces of the napkin meet, and I'm just going to apply a little bit more just to make sure that it does blend in well and smooth that out. And it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of wrinkles, it just kind of adds to the texture. And what I'm going to do next is just apply some Mod Podge to the top of the napkin to seal it. Once the Mod Podge is fully dry, I'm going to take some sandpaper and lightly sand the top to remove the excess napkin. And I do find that this actually works the best, but you do want to apply just a little bit of pressure, that way it doesn't mess up the candle, but you'll just repeat that on both of your candles. And this is what your 4th project will look like completed. Here's all of today's projects. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which is your favorite. start off by taking 4 of these 5x7 frames and removing the backing as well as the glass. I'm also going to remove each of the little metal tabs that hold the glass in place, and I'm going to do that on all 4 of the frames. All the tabs are removed, I'm going to glue the glass back into 3 of the frames, and I'm going to use hot glue as you can see me doing here. Once you have the glass back in 3 of the frames, we're going to start assembling the box. And for these 3 frames, I'm going to glue them with the wood-like appearance on the outside. And I'm just going to use hot glue to glue these together. Once the 3 sides are on, I'm going to take the 4th piece, the one without the glass, and glue that on with the wood-like appearance on the inside. And we'll actually be putting that glass in a little bit later. But once you have the box shape built, which will be the top of the snow globe, I'm going to take this thule or this mesh, and I'm just going to apply it to the one side of the globe. And I'm just going to use my hot glue and glue that down and just smooth that out to make sure that it is on there good, and make sure that this is tight, and glue that on all 4 edges. Once all the sides are glued on, I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and cut off the excess from all the way around the globe. And this is what it will look like once you have that in place. And next we're going to start working on the inside of the globe. So I'm going to take this little jewelry holder and I'm going to remove the stand off. And I didn't like the gold, so I'm just going to paint it in this nutmeg brown, as well as take this leaf ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree and just cut each of the individual leaves off. And I'm going to cut a few of the red and a few of the orange, and that's what we're going to be using for the leaves on this tree. Once I have those all cut, I'm going to start gluing them onto the tree, and I'm just going to glue them where each of the little plastic leaves are. And this is what it will look like once you have the leaves all glued in place. Next, I'm going to take one of these large craft sticks and I'm going to paint it in the nutmeg brown as well. Once I have that painted, I'm going to apply hot glue to the edges, and I'm going to place that inside the globe, and I'm going to glue that to the piece where the thule is glued on the bottom, and that's what's going to hold the tree in place. Now I'm just going to take my little tree and make sure the leaves are pointing towards the side that already has the glass in place. And I'm just going to glue that to the middle of the craft stick. And I did make sure I applied enough glue to hold it in place. But once that is done, I'm going to take more of the little leaves, and I'm going to actually just start gluing those to the large craft stick. That way it kind of hides it and it looks like the leaves are falling on the ground. And this is what it will look like once you have all the leaves glued onto the craft stick. Next, I'm going to take a few more of the leaves and I'm going to glue a few of them to the front of the globe on the glass. Just kind of, again, make it look like the leaves are falling. So I'm just going to apply a few, not a whole lot, onto the front. Once you have those glued in place, I'm going to take that 4th piece of glass, and again I'm going to apply just a few leaves to it, which will be the back of the globe, and I'm not going to apply again a whole lot, just a few here and there, but this is what it will look like once I have those glued on. And then I'm just going to glue that 4th piece of glass onto the globe, and that'll be the backing for the snow globe. Next, I'm going to take this foam board, which I cut 4 pieces that are 5 inches by approximately 5 inches. And I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the globe to form a square. And this is what's actually going to be the base. Now, 3 of these I actually left whole. And the 4th one, I cut the center out, which will allow air to get into the bottom of the base. But you'll just glue all 4 of those sides, or all 3 of those sides on first. And then once we have the 3rd side on, we'll start working on the reinforcement just to make sure that it is sturdy to hold up. And to do that, I'm actually going to be using some craft sticks, and I'm just going to glue 1 craft stick to each of the corners of the base. Once I have those in place, then I will glue on the 4th and final piece of the stand. Once you have the base all completed and glued on, I'm going to take my apple barrel paint in the color Burnt Umber, and I'm just going to paint the bottom of the base, and that will give it the fake wood effect or appearance, which goes nicely with my frames. Once I have that done, I'm going to take more of that leaf ribbon, and I'm just going to glue that all the way around the base where the frame and the base meet, just to kind of help blend that in. And I'm going to wrap that all the way around from the front, all the way around the back. Now, taking that same leaf ribbon, I'm going to glue down the sides of the base just to kind of help cover up where the foam board meets, and I'm going to repeat that on all 4 corners. Now, taking these white styrofoam beads, I'm actually going to paint them. That way it resembles more of leaves falling. Once those are painted and dried, I'm just going to place them inside of my globe. You don't want to put too many, but you want to put enough to make it look like a snow globe. But once I have those in place, I'm going to repeat the same step as I did the bottom. I'm going to glue some more of the thule onto the top and just make sure I smooth that out to where it gives a flush finish. And once I have that glued all around all 4 corners, I will cut off the excess around the sides as well. And I decided I didn't want the back of my globe to be see-through, so I just took this blue construction paper, and using one of the back of the frames, I measured and cut that out. Now, you can use any color you would like, but I went with the blue, that way it would kind of resemble a sky. But once I had that cut out, I just placed that onto the back of the glass, and I glued that on just using a little bit of hot glue. And here's what it will look like once you have the globe completed. Now, you can use this little fan, which is battery operated, that I got at Dollar Tree, or Walmart also carries the same size of fan that is electric that plugs in. So you can use whichever you prefer. Now, I will say that the batteries do tend to run out pretty fast in the Dollar Tree one, so I'm going to be using this electric fan, and I'm just going to set the globe over the top of the fan. And then once you turn the fan on, it actually starts blowing the beads to make it look like snow. And then you can always turn it on or off depending if you want your snow globe to be blowing. And here's your completed fall snow globe. so much for watching today's video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. As always, you can leave me a comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Till next time, hope everyone has a great day.